In the previous videos in the post-modern series, we have seen that the 5 centuries following the rule of the Mauryas were historically important as there emerged several political entities in different parts of the country. One of them was the Shungas. Today we will talk in detail about the Shunga dynasty. According to the Puranas, the Mauryan dynasty was subverted about 184 BCE by Pushyamitra Sunga, who then usurped the throne. Harshcharit of Banbhat mentions the circumstances of the assassination of Brihadrath, the last Mauryan ruler. Brihadrath was a very weak ruler, and Pushyamitra Sunga, his commander-in-chief, having paraded the entire army under the pretext of a military display, killed Brihadrath. His murder may be placed in 184 BCE. R.S. Tripathi has also supported Banbhat's view by saying that Brihadrath was a very weak king and the whole army support was with Pushyamitra Shunga. When we talk about the origin of the Shungas, it is commonly believed that the original home of the Shungas was the ancient Vidisha region near Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. But the question of Shunga's origin is a controversial one. Kalidas says that Shungas belonged to the Bambika family of the Kashyap lineage. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mentions them as teachers. Panini says that Pushyamitra Shunga belonged to the Brahmin clan of Bharadwaj. Harshacharit also mentions that Pushyamitra Shunga was a Brahmin, and the Tibetan historian Taranath also says that Pushyamitra Shunga was the Purohit of a royal family and was a Brahmin king. So we will talk in detail about Pushyamitra Shunga and then a little about his successors, and then we will come to the economic and social conditions during the Shunga period. So let us start talking about Pushyamitra Shunga, who has been assigned the period 184 to 148 BCE. Pushyamitra Shunga was the commander-in-chief of the last Mauryan king Brihadrath. He killed his master in a coup and founded the Shunga dynasty in 184 BCE, as we have already seen. There are many achievements of Pushyamitra Shunga. In fact, it is said that Pushyamitra Shunga had begun his rule with blood and carried it with blood. All his achievements were colored with blood. So we will talk about his achievements. The first one was the unification of the empire. When Pushyamitra Shunga became the king after assassinating Brihadrath, the first task for him was to re-strengthen the empire. Many kingdoms like Kalinga, Maharashtra and Andhra had become independent and were posing challenges for the empire. In these conditions, Pushyamitra Shunga first strengthened the internal conditions and then rendered power to the empire. He empowered those kingdoms which were in Magadh's control, including Koshal, Vats and Avanti. He made Vidisha his second capital, where he appointed his son Agnimitra as the representative ruler. He thus strengthened the empire and stabilized the center. Now, Pushyamitra Shunga was a great warrior, and after strengthening his empire, he tried to extend it. So his first achievement was a victory over Vidarbha. According to Malvikagnimitra, the kingdom of Videh had been newly established, and its ruler Yagyasena is described as a natural enemy of the Shungas. In the course of the tussle, Pushyamitra Shunga's son Agnimitra, who was then the viceroy of Vidisha, he carried on hostilities with great vigor, and Agnimitra won over to his side Yagyasena's cousin Madhavasena, after which the struggle ended. The next important achievement we talk about Pushyamitra Shunga is his battle with Kharavela. Now, some scholars believe that a battle had taken place between Kharavela, the king of Kalinga, and Pushyamitra Shunga, in which the former emerged victorious. Smith and Jaiswal are the chief among such scholars. According to Smith, Kharavela attacked Magad twice during Pushyamitra Shunga's reign in 165 BCE and 161 BCE. Kharavela achieved bigger success in the second attack. Pushyamitra Shunga had to accept the rule of Kharavela, who captured the royal treasure of Pushyamitra Shunga. Jaiswal has also supported Smith's view on the basis of the various edicts, and he feels that after his defeat at the hands of Kharavela, Pushyamitra Shunga performed the Ashwamedh Yagya. But other historians do not accept it. For example, H.C. Rai Chaudhary and R.S. Tripathi believe that Kharavela was not a contemporary of Pushyamitra Shunga, and there is no question of his having been defeated by Kharavela. These scholars believe that Kharavela existed during the third quarter of the 1st century BC, while Pushyamitra Shunga died in 148 BC. So the king who was defeated by Kharavela was not Pushyamitra Shunga. So there is a little bit of ambiguity in so far as Kharavela and Pushyamitra Shunga are concerned. We also talk about Pushyamitra Shunga's Ashwamedh sacrifice. The performance of the Ashwamedh sacrifice was one of the notable events of Pushyamitra Shunga's reign. It has been referred to in Malvik Agnimitra and also by Patanjali. But an edict found at Ayodhya shows that Pushyamitra Shunga had done two Ashwamedhas. The first one was done following the Vidarbha victory, and the second one was done during his last days. Then we come to his battle with Greeks. During Pushyamitra Shunga's reign, Greeks had attacked India. A battle with them and an ultimate victory was a great achievement of Pushyamitra Shunga, because he thus did not allow the Greeks to capture India. Many sources give us information about these attacks. The main sources are Patanjali's Mahabhashya, Gargi Samhita, and the Malvik Agnimitra. Now we talk about the extent of Pushyamitra Shunga's kingdom. Pushyamitra Shunga's jurisdiction extended to Jalandhar and Sakala or Sialkot in the Punjab. If we accept the testimony of the Tibetan historian Taranath and the Divya Vadan. And there's also an indication that Patliputra continued to be the royal residence. Pushyamitra Shunga's sway over Ayodhya is proved by an inscription found there, whereas according to the Malvika Agnimitra, his dominions comprised Vidisha and the southern regions as far as the Narmada. There was also an outburst of activity in the domain of religion during Pushyamitra Shunga's reign. According to R.K. Mukherjee, Pushyamitra Shunga led a Brahmanical revival against both Buddhism and Yavan culture. H.C. Rai Chaudhary also says that the inscriptions at Vidisha testify to the growing importance and the wide prevalence of the Bhagavad religion. But then we have the Divyavan, according to which Pushyamitra Shunga was a persecutor of Buddhism, and he is represented to have made numerous persecutions. Taranath also affirms that Pushyamitra Shunga was the ally of unbelievers, and he himself burnt monasteries and slew monks. But again, there is one counter-argument by R.K. Mukherjee. He says that despite the revival of Brahmanism during Pushyamitra Shunga's reign, neither Buddhism nor Jainism completely eclipsed. Pushyamitra Shunga's reign was a glorious epoch in the domain of literature. Patanjali, the author of Mahabhashya, is the literary genius of the Shunga age and a contemporary of Pushyamitra Shunga. And the Mahabhashya gives us a lively picture of the life of the people in the Shunga period. Sanskrit was made a popular living language, no longer confined to the learned Brahmanas. There were achievements in the field of art also during his reign. The Shunga period witnessed a new form of art which is clearly a negation of modern art. The Shunga art was more popular in character and more collective in its aim and origin. The Shunga art is the first attempt of the integrated and organized art activity of the Indian people as a whole, and is thus the antithesis of the court art of the Mauryas. Now we are in a position to evaluate Pushyamitra Shunga. So he died in 148 BCE After a rule of 36 years, he was a great warrior, administrator, and a far-sighted person. He was a great commander and popular in the army. He successfully faced the Greeks and showed his administrative power by strengthening the empire. Pushyamitra Sunga was a great patron of art and literature and is famous in the Shunga history for his cultural activities. He revitalized Brahmanism, which was fast disappearing. Thus, Pushyamitra Shunga's achievements were vital in both political and cultural fronts. Successors of Pushyamitra Shunga. Pushyamitra Shunga was succeeded by his son Agnimitra. Agnimitra is the hero of Kalidasa's Malvika Agnimitra. During his father's reign, Agnimitra was governing the province of Vidisha, and Sujeshth succeeded Agnimitra. Sujeshth, who is identical with Jeth Mitra of the coins. No other information is available about him. Uh, Now Sumitra, he was the son of Agnimitra, also known as Vasumitra. And then we have Vajramitra, the next ruler, who is recorded to have ruled for 9 years. No other events have been recorded. Then we have Bhagvat, who ruled for 22 years. And finally, Devabhuti succeeded Bhagvat. Devabhuti is supposed to be the last ruler of the Shunga dynasty. Let us also see what kind of economic conditions prevailed under the Shungas. The Shunga period marked an economically prosperous period, and mostly the Mahabharata and the Malvika are the sources for it. The art provides information about the material life of the people. Agriculture was the primary source of livelihood, but the people were actively engaged in various commercial pursuits also. The potters, carpenters, blacksmiths, ivory makers, architects, workers in metal, etc. are also mentioned. Trade Traders undertook both inland and overseas journeys. Barter was a common mode of transaction, not only for ordinary goods but also for larger commodities. But coins were also known, and a variety of coins, paperweights, and measures indicate the wide range of economic activities. We also have the evidence of guilds. The guilds were empowered to issue coins, which is clearly attested by the Nigam coins. The word Nigam meant a corporation of merchants. And the Mahabharata also includes Nishk, Suvarna, Sataman, and Karshapan as coins. Credit was known, and the moneylender was called Prayojaka, and interest paid on the principal was called Vradhi. Patanjali mentions 5% interest. The land revenue system of the Mauryas continued under the Shunga period. Now we come to the social life under the Shungas. Mahabharata provides details about the social life. Society was divided into four classes. Brahmanas were at the top in social hierarchy, and the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras enjoyed usual position. Mixed marriages resulted in creation of new castes like Vrasalas, Varudas, Ugras, Nisadas, Chandalas, and Matrapas. One most important feature was the influx of foreigners and their assimilation into the Hindu social order. As a result of it, caste rules were relaxed. Family was a homogeneous unit, and authority of the head was recognized. Women were given considerable freedom. Polygamy was practiced only under exceptional circumstances. Women had the freedom of movement, and there was no observance of Pada. So, we have talked about the Shunga dynasty in detail, how Pushyamitra Shunga, the most prominent ruler of the Shunga dynasty, contributed to the strengthening of the dynasty. And then we have also talked about economic and social conditions under the Shungas. Please look out for my next video in the series of videos on post-modern India. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.